Hi viewer, welcome to our another video. In this video we will discuss about top 25 Angular interview questions and answers. We will be uploading videos on technology and career guidance on our channel regularly to encourage us to do more videos like this. Please subscribe to our channel if you are watching our channel for the first time. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your friends to encourage us. Question: What is Angular? Angular is a TypeScript-based open-source front-end platform that makes it easy to build web, mobile and desktop applications. The major features of this framework include declarative templates, dependency injection, end-to-end tooling which ease application development. Next question: What are Angular advantages? 1. Custom and reusable components. Angular allows developers to create their own components. These components can be reused, combined and nested, providing a construction kit for building the application. 2. Use of TypeScript's data types. By using Angular, users can effortlessly call data from TypeScript code on the web page and respond to appropriate user input without having to manually write any code. This enables the integration of third-party libraries without implementing another intermediate layer, glue code. 3. Productivity and code consistency. The entire framework is based on components and services, which can be thought of as building blocks. The application can be developed faster and more consistently if you write the components according to the guidelines and code structures or create a class of service. 4. Easy testing. Angular can be used to perform unit testing and end-to-end testing of the application. The framework is suitable for performing both simple testing for unit testing and end-to-end testing. The number of developers, users does not matter. It is possible to test any part of your application. 5. Code reduction and good maintainability. By using TypeScript, Angular applications get an object-oriented architecture, which in turn leads to a clear and ultimately well-maintainable source code. In addition, Angular eliminates the need for much of the code that you would normally write. In addition, the source code becomes significantly smaller. The reduction of code is justified by the automation of standard tasks. Angular applications gain an object-oriented architecture through the use of TypeScript. This in turn leads to a clear and ultimately easily maintainable source code. 6. High compatibility. Angular is cross-platform and compatible with all major browsers such as Chrome or Firefox. In order to be able to develop comparatively easy, large and small applications with modern web technologies, companies need appropriate resources and reliable tools. The JavaScript ecosystem is in a constant state of flux. New frameworks appear daily and disappear just as quickly. Despite all this, Angular seems to be a tool that companies can rely on. Next question: What is the difference between AngularJS and Angular? AngularJS. It is based on MVC architecture. It uses JavaScript to build the application. Based on controllers concept. No support for mobile platforms. Difficult to build SEO-friendly application. Angular. This is based on service controller. Uses TypeScript to build the application. This is a component-based UI approach. Fully supports mobile platforms. Ease to build SEO-friendly applications. Next question: What is NPM? NPM stands for Node Package Manager. It's a library and registry for JavaScript software packages. NPM also has command line tools to help you install the different packages and manage their dependencies. NPM is free and relied on by over 11 million developers worldwide. Next question: What is CLI? Tool. A command line interface, CLI, is a text-based interface where you can input commands that interact with a computer's operating system. The CLI operates with the help of the default shell, which is between the operating system and the user. Next question: What are components in Angular? Components are the most basic UI building block of an Angular app, which form a tree of Angular components. These components are a subset of directives. Unlike directives, components always have a template, and only one component can be instantiated per element in a template. Next question: What is a selector and template? A selector is one of the properties of the object that we use along with the component configuration. A selector is used to identify each component uniquely into the component tree, and it also defines how the current component is represented in the HTML DOM. Basically, the selector property of the component is just a string that is used to identify the component or an element in the DOM. By default, the selector name may have an app as a prefix at the time of component creation, but we can update it. Keep in mind that two or more component selectors must not be the same. In Angular, a template is a blueprint for a fragment of a user interface (UI). Templates are written in HTML, and special syntax can be used within a template to build on many of Angular's features. Next question: what is module in Angular? What is app, module, TS file? Modules are logical boundaries in your application, and the application is divided into separate modules to separate the functionality of your application. Let's take an example of app, module, TS root module declared with. Angular modules are essential for organizing and managing applications. They group related components, services, and other artifacts. The module, TS file serves as the configuration hub for a module. It defines the module's components, imports, providers, and exports. The @module decorator provides metadata for Angular to understand and process the module correctly. Declarations list components, imports import functionality, providers define services, and exports make artifacts accessible to other modules. App, module, TS is the file which contains all components, directives, pipe, services related to that module. All above mentioned files should needs to be imported in app, module, TS. App routing, module, TS is to declare list of routings required and their respective components for those routings. Next question: how an Angular app gets loaded and started? What are index, HTML, app root, selector and main, TS. The browser loads the index, HTML file, which is the entry point for the application. The index, HTML file contains a script tag that references the main JavaScript bundle for the application. This bundle contains all of the Angular framework code, as well as the application's own code. The browser loads and executes the main JavaScript bundle. The main JavaScript bundle bootstraps the Angular application by calling the platform browser dynamic, bootstrap module, up module, catch, equals greater than console, error, method which is present in main, TS file. This method takes the application's root module as a parameter. The root module is responsible for configuring the Angular application and providing its root component. The Angular application creates an instance of the root component and renders it to the DOM. Next question: what is a bootstrapped module and bootstrapped component? A bootstrapped component is an entry component that Angular loads into the DOM during the bootstrap process or application launch time. Generally, this bootstrapped or root component is named as a component in your root module using bootstrap property. Every application has at least one Angular module. The root module that you bootstrap to launch the application is called as bootstrapping module. It is commonly known as a module. Next question: what is data binding in Angular? Data binding is a core concept in Angular and allows to define communication between a component and the DOM, making it very easy to define interactive applications without worrying about pushing and pulling data. There are 4 forms of data binding, divided as 3 categories, which differ in the way the data is flowing from the component to the DOM. Interpolation, value, adds the value of a property from the component. Less than lee greater than name, user.name, less than lee greater than. Less than lee greater than address, user, address, less than lee greater than. Property binding, property equals value. The value is passed from the component to the specified property or simple HTML attribute. Less than input type equals email, value equals user, email, greater than. From the DOM to the component, event binding, event equals function. When a specific DOM event happens, e.g., click, change, cape, call the specified method in the component. Less than button, click, equals, logout, greater than less than, button greater than. Two-way binding, two-way data binding, ng model equals, value. Two-way data binding allows to have the data flow both ways. For example, in the below code snippet, both the email DOM input and component email property are in sync. Less than input type equals email, ng model equals user, email, greater than. Next question, what is string interpolation in Angular? Interpolation is a special syntax that Angular converts into property binding. It's a convenient alternative to property binding. It is represented by double curly braces. The text between the braces is often the name of a component property. Angular replaces that name with the string value of the corresponding component property. Next question, what is property binding in Angular? Property binding is a one-way data binding technique. In property binding, we bind a property of a DOM element to a field which is a defined property in our component TypeScript code. Actually, Angular internally converts string interpolation into property binding. Next question, what is event binding in Angular? Event binding is used to handle the events raised by the user actions like button click, mouse movement, keystrokes, etc. When the DOM event happens at an element, e.g. click, key down, key up, it calls the specified method in the particular component. Using event binding, we can bind data from DOM to the component and hence can use that data for further purposes. Next question, what is two-way binding in Angular? The two-way data binding in Angular enables data to flow from the component to the view and the other way round. It is used to display information to the end user and allows them to make changes to the underlying data using the UI. This makes a two-way connection between the view, the template, and the component class that we already mentioned. Angular data binding works by synchronizing the data in the Angular components with the UI. This way it can always show the current value of the data. In terms of the two-way binding, the automatic data synchronization happens between the model and the view, keeping both synced all the time. Because of this, any change made in the model is immediately reflected in the view as well. And vice versa, changes made in the view are updated in the model too. The two-way data binding in Angular is used to display information to the end user and allows the end user to make changes to the underlying data using the UI. This makes a two-way connection between the view, the template, and the component class. This is similar to the two-way binding in WPF. Next question, what are directives? What are the type of directives? In Angular, directives are defined as classes that can add new behavior to the elements in the template or modify existing behavior. The purpose of directives in Angular is to maneuver the DOM, be it by adding new elements to DOM or removing elements and even changing the appearance of the DOM elements. Directives are meant to be a function that executes when found in the DOM by the Angular compiler to extend the power of the HTML with new syntax. Directives have a name and can be predefined or custom defined so that they can be called anything. Depending on the predefined directive, its use is determined: attribute, comment, element, or class. Types of directives in Angular. Directive in Angular can be categorized into the following types: component directive, structural directive, and attribute directive. Let's consider each of these Angular directive types separately. Component directive. Special directives in Angular are called components since this type of directive has a template or template URLs. In effect, it is a component directive that shows something in DOM. Structural directive. This type of directive is used to make changes in the layout of the DOM. Elements can be added or removed, hence changing the structure of the DOM. An example would be *ngif, adding or removing element from DOM, or ng for lists elements of every iteration. Attribute directive. This type of Angular directive is used to make behavior or element changes in the appearance and behavior of an element. For example, ngStyle, applying styles, or ngClass, applying CSS classes. Next question, what is *ngif structural directive? The ngif directive in Angular is used to conditionally add or remove templates based on an expression. The expression inside the directive is evaluated, and if the expression is true, the template is added to the DOM. If the expression is false, the template is removed from the DOM. The ngif directive is very similar to the if-else statement in other programming languages. For example, the following code would display the text, "Hello world," if the value of the variable is logged in is true, otherwise it would display the text, "not logged in." Next question, what is *ng for structural directive? In Angular, structural directives are directives that change the DOM layout by adding and removing DOM elements. They are responsible for the structure and layout of the DOM element. There are a number of structural directives available in Angular, but one of the most commonly used is *ng for. The ng for directive is used to iterate over a collection of data and display each item in the collection. This is similar to a for loop in other programming languages. For example, if you have an array of objects, you can use ng for to display each object in a list. Next question, what is *ng switch structural directive? The ng switch directive in Angular is used to display different template blocks based on the value of a variable. It is similar to the switch statement in JavaScript. You can also use the ing_switchdefo directive to specify a template block to be displayed when the value of the variable does not match any of the values in the ing_switchcase directives. The ng_switch directive is a powerful tool that can be used to add dynamic behavior to your Angular applications. Next question, what is ing_style attribute directive? The Angular ing_style directive binds an object to HTML element styles. The object's properties are CSS properties, and their values are the new values for those CSS properties. You can use ing_style to dynamically change the styles of an element based on data binding expressions. The ing_style directive takes an object as its value. This object maps CSS properties to values. For example, the following code sets the color and font size properties of an element based on the values of the variables color and font size. Next question, what is ng_class attribute directive? The ng_class directive in Angular is used to dynamically bind CSS classes to an HTML element based on the value of an expression. This can be used to change the appearance of an element based on the state of your application. If the active property of the class's object is true, then the div element will have the CSS class active applied to it. If the disabled property is true, then the div element will have the CSS class disabled applied to it. ng_class is a powerful directive that can be used to dynamically change the appearance of your Angular applications. Next question, what is the difference between component, attribute and structural directives? 1. Component directives. Component directives are the most common type of directive in Angular. They are used to create reusable UI components with their own template, logic, and styles. Components are essentially directives with an associated template. When you use a component directive in your application, Angular will create and manage instances of that component as needed. 2. Attribute directives. Attribute directives modify the appearance or behavior of an existing element by applying custom logic to it. They are usually used as HTML attributes. Attribute directives are often used to add or remove classes, manipulate styles, or apply custom behavior based on specific conditions. 3. Structural directives. Structural directives alter the DOM layout by adding or removing elements based on certain conditions. They start with an asterisk in their notation. The most commonly used structural directives are ngIf, ng_for, and ng_switch. Structural directives are used for shaping or reshaping HTML DOM by adding, removing elements. Attribute directives are used to change the appearance or behavior of DOM element. The component directive is just a directive that attaches the template and style for the element, along with the specific behavior. The structural directive modifies the DOM element and its behavior by adding, changing, or removing the different elements. Component directives use the component decorator and require a separate view for the component, while structural directives are inbuilt in Angular and only focus on the DOM elements. A component directive can be created multiple times, that is, every component in Angular will have a component decorator attached, while we cannot apply more than one structural directive to the same HTML element. So these are the differences between component and structural directives. One thing to keep in mind that one is being used for attaching a class to the directive, and the other is used to play with the DOM elements. Next question, what is decorator? Decorators are a feature in JavaScript introduced in the ES 2017 Harmony specification that allow developers to extend the functionality of existing classes. Angular uses decorators to provide metadata for various aspects of an application, such as components, directives, services, and modules. Decorators are functions that are applied to a class, method, or property to add additional functionality. The decorator function can be used to provide metadata, such as the name of the class, the type of the property, or the scope of the method. Decorators can be used to make changes to the behavior of a class, method, or property. For example, a decorator can be used to make a method private or to change the way a property is serialized. Decorators can be used to provide additional functionality to a class, method, or property. For example, a decorator can be used to provide a logging function or to make a property observable. Decorators are a powerful tool that can be used to extend the functionality of existing classes. Angular uses decorators to provide metadata for various aspects of an application, such as components, directives, services, and modules. Here are some of the benefits of using decorators in Angular. Decorators make it easier to organize and maintain code, reuse code, test code, extend code. If you are developing an Angular application, you should consider using decorators to provide metadata for various aspects of your application. Decorators are functions that are invoked with a prefixed symbol, and are immediately followed by a class, method, or property. They allow a service, directive, or filter to be changed before being used. Basically, a decorator provides configuration metadata that determines how the component, class, or a function should be processed, instantiated, and used at runtime. Angular defines a number of decorators that attach specific kinds of metadata to classes, so that the system knows what those classes mean and how they should work. Next question: what are the types of decorator? There are 4 types of decorators, and each type further has its own subset of decorators. Class decorators. This is the first type of decorator, which tells us about a particular class's intent and helps answer questions like whether the class is a component or a module. There are various class decorators in Angular, and among them a component and a module are widely used. Property decorators. Property decorators are used to decorate specific properties inside a class. Using a property decorator, we can easily identify why we use any particular property of a class, like at input, at output, at read-only, at override. Method decorator. Method decorators, as the name indicates, are used to decorate the method defined inside our class with functionality. A common example of method decorator is at hoselistna. Parameter decorators. Parameter decorators allow us to decorate parameters in our class constructors. At inject is a common and widely used parameter decorator. Using this decorator, we can inject services in Angular classes. Structure of decorators. In all the code snippets that we have seen so far on decorators, you must have noticed that each of the decorators follows a similar pattern or structure when used in code. Each decorator starts with a symbol and is added before the class, method, property, or passed as a parameter. All are functions having open and close brackets. This helps us understand that it is the function that is used as an inbuilt decorator. Just like a function can be customized, decorators can also be customized. Based on the requirement in our project, we can create custom decorators and use them accordingly. Custom decorator. In this section we are going to learn the steps involved in creating custom decorators. As the term custom itself suggests, it is something which we create based on our project need, which is not already fulfilled by the inbuilt Angular decorator. So, whenever we want to add some more features to our class, property of class, or method of class, we use custom decorators. Next question: what are pipes? What are the types of pipes and parameterized pipes? Transforming and showing the modified data to the user is what pipes are used for in Angular. Pipes help to apply to fine-tune the data and display value transformation to the user. Pipes can also be thought of as styles that we apply in the HTML template. A pipe takes in some data as input and returns an output based on the output of transform function evaluation. Angular pipes definition and its usage is pretty straightforward, and realizing that they can be very useful as the name suggests. Angular comes with tons of helpful built-in pipes that are ready for use and also allow us to create our customized pipes, and we are going to dive into it briefly in this Pipes, in general, have two categories. Pure, all pipes by default are pure. Impure pipes. Pure pipes are executed when there is a change to the primitive input value or the object reference is changed, whereas impure pipes are executed during every component change detection cycle. Change detection is a vast concept in itself which is out of the scope of this article. Some interesting examples of impure pipes are async pipe, used with observables. Caching pipe, used to make HTTP requests. A pure pipe is only called when Angular detects a change in the value or the parameters passed to a pipe. For example, any changes to a primitive input value, string, number, boolean, symbol, or a changed object reference, date, array, function, object. An impure pipe is called for every change detection cycle no matter whether the value or parameters changes, i.e., an impure pipe is called often as every keystroke or mouse move. A pipe can accept any number of optional parameters to fine-tune its output. The parameterized pipe can be created by declaring the pipe name with a colon and then the parameter value. If the pipe accepts multiple parameters, separate the values with colons. Let's take a birthday example with a particular format, dd, mm, yyyy. The parameter value can be any valid template expression, such as a string literal or a component property. Next question: what is chaining pipes? The chaining pipe is used to perform the multiple operations within the single expression. This chaining operation will be chained using the pipe I. In the following example, to display the birthday in the uppercase we'll need to use the inbuilt date pipe and uppercase pipe. Next question: explain services with example. A service is used when a common functionality needs to be provided to various modules. Services allow for greater separation of concerns for your application and better modularity by allowing you to extract common functionality out of components. Service is a piece of reusable code with a focused purpose. A code that you will use across multiple components in your application. Our components need to access the data. You can write data access code in each component, but this is very inefficient and breaks the rule of single responsibility. The component should focus on presenting the data to the user. The task of receiving data from the back-end server should be delegated to another class. We call a class a service class because it provides each component with the data it needs. Angular services uses features independent of components such as logging services, share logic or data across components, encapsulate external interactions like data access. Services are easier to test. They are easier to debug. We can reuse the service at many places. Next question: how to create service in Angular. An Angular service is just a JavaScript function. All we have to do is create a class and add methods and properties. Then we can create an instance of this class in our component and call its methods. One of the best uses of services is to get data from a data source. Next question: how to use dependency injector with services in Angular. To use dependency injection, every service needs to be registered into the system. Angular provides multiple options to register a service. They are as follows: module injector at root level, module injector at platform level, element injector using provider's metadata, element injector using view provider's metadata, null injector. There are three types of dependency injections in Angular. They are as follows: constructor injection. Here, it provides the dependencies through a class constructor. Setter injection. The client uses a setter method into which the injector injects the dependency. Interface injection. The dependency provides an injector method that will inject the dependency into any client passed to it. On the other hand, the clients must implement an interface that exposes a setter method that accepts the dependency. Next question: what is hierarchical dependency injection? With hierarchical dependency injection, you can isolate sections of the application and give them their own private dependencies not shared with the rest of the application, or have parent components share certain dependencies with its child components only but not with the rest of the component tree, and so on. Hierarchical dependency injection enables you to share dependencies between different parts of the application only when and if you need to. Types of injector hierarchies. Injectors in Angular have rules that you can leverage to achieve the desired visibility of injectables in your applications. By understanding these rules, you can determine in which ng module, component, or directive you should declare a provider. Angular has two injector hierarchies. Module injector hierarchy: configure a module injector in this hierarchy using an @ing module or @injectable annotation. Element injector hierarchy created implicitly at each DOM element. An element injector is empty by default unless you configure it in the provider's property on a directive or a component. Next question: what is provider in Angular? Angular providers are used to configure services and make them available to components in the application. A provider can be used to configure a service with properties, or to provide a factory function that creates a new instance of the service each time it is requested. Providers are usually singleton, one-instance objects that other objects have access to through dependency injection, (D). If you plan to use an object multiple times, for example, the HTTP service in different components, you can ask for the same instance of that service, reuse it. You do that with the help of D by providing a reference to the same object that D creates for you. At component, providers, HTTP, closing curly bracket. Next question: what is the role of an injectable decorator in a service? The injectable decorator should be added to any service that uses dependency injection, D. The injectable decorator together with the provided option means the service should not be added within the provider's array of a module. Next question: what are parent-child components? When you move from a single component to many components, you begin to need mechanisms so that components can communicate with one another. Halogen gives us 3 ways for a parent and child component to communicate. A parent component can send queries to a child component, which either tell the child component to do something or request some information from it. A parent component gives a child component the input it needs, which is resent every time the parent component renders. A child component can emit output messages to the parent component, notifying it when an important event has occurred. These type parameters are represented in the component type, and some are also found in the component TML and Halogen types. For example, a component that supports queries, input, and output messages will have this component type. Component, for all M, H, component query input output M. You can think of the ways a component can communicate with other components as its public interface, and the public interface shows up in the component type. A parent component is a component that has a wider scope, and a child component is a component that is a part of that scope but not all of it. One example is an HTML page that has a toolbar, a content area, and a table inside the content area. Next question: what are lifecycle hooks in Angular? Lifecycle hooks are a set of methods in Angular that are executed at specific moments during the lifecycle of a component. These methods provide a way to tap into the Angular component lifecycle and perform custom logic or operations at specific points in time. There are 8 lifecycle hooks in Angular. Non-changes. This lifecycle hook is executed whenever the component's input properties change. Non-init. This lifecycle hook is executed after the component's constructor method and is a good place to perform initial setup for the component. Nugdoc. This lifecycle hook is executed during every change detection cycle and is a good place to perform custom change detection. After-content-init. This lifecycle hook is executed after the component's content has been initialized and is a good place to perform additional setup for the component's content. After-content-checked. This lifecycle hook is executed after the component's content has been checked and is a good place to perform additional operations based on the component's content. After-view-init. This lifecycle hook is executed after the component's view has been initialized and is a good place to perform additional setup for the component's view. After-view-checked. This lifecycle hook is executed after the component's view has been checked and is a good place to perform additional operations based on the component's view. Non-destroy. This lifecycle hook is executed just before the component is destroyed and is a good place to perform cleanup operations for the component. Each of these lifecycle hooks provides a way to tap into the component's lifecycle at specific moments in time and perform custom logic or operations as needed. The lifecycle hooks can be implemented as methods within the component class, and Angular will automatically call these methods at the appropriate time. Next question: what is a constructor in Angular? An Angular constructor is a function that is used to initialize an Angular application. The constructor is run when the application is first created, and it is responsible for setting up the Angular environment. The constructor can be used to inject dependencies, set the default values for properties, and run any other initialization code that is needed. Next question: what is non-init lifecycle hook in Angular? This lifecycle hook is executed after the component's constructor method and is a good place to perform initial setup for the component. Next question: what is the difference between constructor and non-init? Constructor executes before non-init, used for dependency injection and initializing instance variables. Cannot access the component's DOM elements. Executed every time a component is created. Can be used in both classes and directives. Can be used to configure the component's metadata, such as its selector and inputs. Cannot use at viewChild or at contentChild decorators to query child components or content projection. Non-init executes after the constructor, used for initialization tasks that require the component to be fully initialized. Can access the component's DOM elements. Executed only once after the component has been initialized. Only available in classes that implement the onInit interface. Cannot be used to configure the component's metadata. Can use at viewChild and at contentChild decorators to query child components or content projection. Next question: what are asynchronous operations? Asynchronous operations in Angular are operations that do not block the execution of the main thread. This means that while an asynchronous operation is running, the Angular application can continue to run and respond to user input. Asynchronous operations are often used to make requests to web servers, or to perform other tasks that can take a long time to complete. By using asynchronous operations, Angular applications can remain responsive even when they are performing long-running tasks. There are a few different ways to implement asynchronous operations in Angular. One way is to use the observable class. Observable is a class that represents a stream of data. When you subscribe to an observable, you will receive notifications whenever new data is available. Another way to implement asynchronous operations in Angular is to use the async keyword. The async keyword can be used to define functions that return promises. Promises are objects that represent the eventual completion of an asynchronous operation. When a promise is resolved, it will either be fulfilled with a value, or rejected with an error. Asynchronous operations can be a powerful tool for improving the performance and responsiveness of Angular applications. However, it is important to use them carefully. If you are not careful, asynchronous operations can make your code more difficult to understand and debug. Next question: what is the difference between promise and observable? Observable. Observable can emit multiple values. Observables are lazy: when we subscribe, then only that will execute. Observable can be synchronous or asynchronous. Observable can be unsubscribed. Observable has different RxJS functions like filter, map, reduce, and many more. Promise. A promise can emit only a single value at a time. Promises are not lazy, they will execute immediately on creation. Promises are asynchronous. There is no facility to unsubscribe promises. Promises don't have any function. Next question: what is RxJS? The full form of RxJS is Reactive Extension for JavaScript. It is a JavaScript library that uses observables to work with reactive programming that deals with asynchronous data calls, callbacks, and event-based programs. RxJS can be used with other JavaScript libraries and frameworks. It is supported by JavaScript and also with TypeScript. Map. This operator is used to transform the data emitted by an observable. For example, if you have an observable that emits a stream of numbers, you can use the map operator to double the value of each number. Filter. This operator is used to filter the data emitted by an observable. For example, if you have an observable that emits a stream of numbers, you can use the filter operator to only emit the even numbers. Merge map. This operator is used to merge multiple observables into a single observable. For example, if you have two observables that emit streams of data, you can use the merge map operator to merge the two streams into one. Fork join. The fork join operator in RxJS is used to wait for multiple observables to complete and then emit an array of the last values emitted by each observable. This operator is useful when you want to make multiple requests at the same time and perform an action only when all the requests have completed. Here's an example of how fork join can be used in Angular to make multiple HTTP requests and then combine the results. Fork join is a useful operator when you need to wait for multiple requests to complete before performing an action, and it can make your code more readable and maintainable. Switch map. The switch map operator in RxJS is used to transform the emissions from an observable by applying a given function and then flattening the result into a new observable. This operator is useful when you want to make a request based on the current value of an observable and then switch to a new observable when the value changes. Concat map. It is an operator in RxJS that is used to flatten an observable by applying a mapping function to each value, and then concatenating the resulting observables in the order they were emitted. Here is an example of using concat map to make an HTTP request for each item in an array. Next question: what is observable? How to implement observable? The observables in Angular, a popular framework and a platform in JavaScript using which you can build tremendous single-page client-side applications using the bootlegs of TypeScript and HTML. It is primarily coded in TypeScript, a superset of JavaScript that lets you import core and optional features in your apps. Thus, before going any further on the implementation of observable in Angular, let's just dive into understanding what observables are. Observable in Angular is a feature that provides support for delivering messages between different parts of your single-page application. This feature is frequently used in Angular because it is responsible for handling multiple values, asynchronous programming in JavaScript, and also event handling processes. However, an observer or observable is a software paradigm constituting the design of an object which is called a subject that maintains a list of various dependencies that are called observers. These dependencies are automatically notified whenever you try to change states. Nature of observable. Observables in Angular are generally declarative, i.e., if you ought to define a function for value publication, it won't be executed until and unless it is subscribed. The subscriber is termed as a consumer who receives the notifications until the function completes itself or until they manually unsubscribe. An observable can be used to deliver any type of multiple values, be it literal events, messages, depending upon the context provided. The receiving and delivering values are synchronously or asynchronously the same. Since the setup and breakdown are handled by the observable, you don't need to worry about your application code being subscribed to consumer values or unsubscribed. Be it an HTTP response or a timer of intervals, the interface for listening to events and stopping them will be the same. This adds an advantage of making use of observables frequently for development purposes. Usage. The basic usage of observable in Angular is to create an instance to define a subscriber function. Whenever a consumer wants to execute the function, the subscribe method is called. This function defines how to obtain messages and values to be published. To make use of the observable, all you need to do is to begin by creating notifications using subscribe method, and this is done by passing observer as discussed previously. The notifications are generally JavaScript objects that handle all the received notifications. Also, the unsubscribe method comes along with subscribing method so that you can stop receiving notifications at any point in time. Types of notifications and description. Next, it is called after the execution starts for 0 times or more than that. It is a mandatory notification for catching each value delivered. Error. This is an optional handler for chasing error notifications. This notification halts execution while running instances of observable. Complete. It is an optional handler that notifies completion of executions. The currently delayed values continue to be delivered even when the execution is marked as complete. Next question: what is the role of HTTP client in Angular? The Angular HTTP client provides a simplified API for network communication. It is a wrapper over the JavaScript XML HTTP request API. The API is asynchronous. JavaScript is single-threaded. Doing a blocking synchronous HTTP call will otherwise freeze the UI. It supports making HTTP requests, GET, POST, etc., working with request and response headers, asynchronous programming. It makes use of the RxJS async library observable object. Next question: what is TypeScript? Or what is the difference between TypeScript and JavaScript? TypeScript provides static typing, comes with IDEs and code editors. Similar to JavaScript, with additional features. Backward compatible with JavaScript. Stronger typing can help identify errors. Can take time to learn additional features. JavaScript, dynamically typed. Limited built-in tooling. Standard JavaScript syntax. Cannot run TypeScript in JavaScript files. May require more debugging and testing. Standard JavaScript syntax is familiar. Next question: what is the difference between let and var keyword? Var. 1. The var keyword was introduced with JavaScript. 2. It has global scope. 3. It can be declared globally and can be accessed globally. 4. Variable declared with var keyword can be redeclared and updated in the same scope. 5. It is hoisted. Let. The let keyword was added in ES6, ES 2015 version of JavaScript. It is limited to block scope. It can be declared globally but cannot be accessed globally. Variable declared with let keyword can be updated but not redeclared. It is not hoisted. Next question: what is type annotation? TypeScript is a typed language, where we can specify the type of the variables, function parameters and object properties. We can specify the type using type after the name of the variable, parameter or property. There can be a space after the colon. TypeScript includes all the primitive types of JavaScript: number, string and boolean. Next question: what are built-in, primitive and user-defined, non-primitive types in TypeScript? Every variable has a data type that tells what kind of data is being stored in a variable. There are two types of data types in JavaScript: primitive data types, non-primitive data types. Primitive data types, the predefined data types provided by JavaScript language, are known as primitive data types. Primitive data types are also known as inbuilt data types. Number data type in JavaScript can be used to hold decimal values as well as values without decimals. String. The string data type in JavaScript represents a sequence of characters that are surrounded by single or double quotes. Undefined. The meaning of undefined is, value is not assigned. Boolean. The Boolean data type can accept only two values, i.e. true and false. Null. This data type can hold only one possible value, that is null. Bigint. This data type can represent numbers greater than 253 to 1, which helps to perform operations on large numbers. The number is specified by writing n at the end of the value. Symbol. This data type is used to create objects which will always be unique. These objects can be created using symbol constructor. Non-primitive data types. The data types that are derived from primitive data types of the JavaScript language are known as non-primitive data types. It is also known as derived data types or reference data types. Below is a list of non-primitive data types. Object. An object in JavaScript is an entity having properties and methods. Everything is an object in JavaScript. Array. With the help of an array, we can store more than one element under a single name. Primitive. Primitive data types are predefined. Primitive data types will have certain values. Size depends on the type of data structure. Examples are numbers and strings. It can start with a lowercase. Non-primitive. Non-primitive data types are created by the programmer. Non-primitive data types can be null. Size is not fixed. Examples are array and linked list. It can start with uppercase. Next question: what is any type in TypeScript? Any is a data type in TypeScript. Any type is used when we deal with third-party programs and expect any variable but we don't know the exact type of variable. Any data type is used because it helps in opt-in and opt-out of type checking during compilation. Since we typed any data type to temp, it expects all types of data type and doesn't give any error. It provided such flexibility that it also makes the compiler not generate an error at compile time if we call any method to an unknown type which is assigned with any type. And we had convinced the compiler that it is any type and has some function on it, but we don't know what is it exactly. We have seen any data type now, but since TypeScript is a type checking language, so we are giving variable flexibility, but it causes some problems such as security issues, so let's discuss when to use any data type. Any type is used only when we don't have any knowledge of the data type of variable and we want dynamic content from the source. Next question: what is enum type in TypeScript? Enum stands for enumerations. Enums are a new data type supported in TypeScript. It is used to define the set of named constants, i.e., a collection of related values. TypeScript supports both numeric and string-based enums. We can define the enums by using the enum keyword. Why enums? Enums are useful in TypeScript because of the following. It makes it easy to change values in the future. It reduces errors which are caused by transporting or mistyping a number. It exists only during compilation time, so it does not allocate memory. It saves runtime and compile time with inline code in JavaScript. It allows us to create constants that we can easily relate to the program. It will enable developers to develop memory-efficient custom constants in JavaScript, which does not support enums, but TypeScript helps us to access them. There are three types of enums in TypeScript. These are TypeScript enums, numeric enums. Numeric enums are number-based enums, which store values as numbers. It means we can assign the number to an instance of the enum. String enums. String enums are a similar concept to numeric enums, except that the enum has some subtle runtime differences. In a string enum, each enum values are constant initialized with a string literal, or with another string enum member rather than numeric values. String enums do not have auto-incrementing behavior. The benefits of using this enum is that string enums provides better readability. If we were debugging a program, string enums allow us to give a meaningful and readable value when our code runs, independent of the name of the enum member itself. Heterogeneous enums. The heterogeneous enums are enums, which contains both string and numeric values. But it is advised that you don't do this unless there is a need to take advantage of JavaScript runtime behavior. Next question: what is type assertion in TypeScript? Type assertion, also known as typecasting or type conversion, is a way to tell the compiler or type system that you know more about the type of a value than it does. It is used to explicitly change the type of an expression from one type to another. Type assertions are commonly used in statically typed languages to perform conversions between compatible types or to access additional methods or properties of a value. They provide a way for the programmer to override the default type inference or to handle cases where the type system cannot deduce the correct type automatically. Type assertions do not perform any runtime type checks or conversions. They are solely used for static analysis by the compiler or type checker and do not affect the underlying value or its runtime behavior. Next question: what are arrow functions in TypeScript? Arrow functions were introduced in ES6. We know that functions are the building block to creating and combining relatable bits of code. TypeScript arrow functions is one of the efficient and easy ways to create functions. In simple words, arrow functions equals greater than are a concise way of writing a function expression. Arrow functions are similar to lambda in other programming languages. Now let us see some examples of arrow functions with parameter and without parameter. Thank you for watching our video. I am Sirish Kantamaneni. If you have any questions or doubts on the topic like technology and career guidance, please comment below so we will reply or make a video on it. You are watching